I was thinking, as I was coming up, had I got anything in common with you that are sitting there, and I was thinking, it's the first time I've been a sub for a long time. And even though I'm a sub for someone of very high standing, nonetheless, it's still been a bit of an insult to be a sub. So I was thinking about the role of the sub when I was a sub, when I played football. And these thoughts came to me that the first thing in being a sub was to try and make sure that you didn't get brought on too late when you can't affect the game. So I think I'm already in trouble on this one, because a lot of people are looking a little bit dozy after that lovely lunch. Nothing to do with David's remarkable speech, right? But that's the first thing. So I am getting on a bit too late. The second thing is not to get on when your team is already losing 5-0. And there's nothing you can do about it. So I feel a little bit like that as well, that there's been so much has happened today in all the various conversations and discussions and the work groups that maybe I can't affect anyone's thoughts. And then thirdly, I said to myself, if you get that magical call from Eugene about an hour before the conference is due to start, and he says, will you do something for us? If you do get on, as a sub, try and make an impact. And by trying to make an impact, you usually might score a goal, or get a header, or make a tackle, or take a penalty, or save a penalty that saves the day. Now, I'll be capable of none of those. But I'm just going to throw a few loose ideas at you in relation to what interests me about migration, integration, and some of my views about where we are and where we're going and what's been happening, and how does Brian Kerr get dragged into this, who normally manage football teams, talks about football, talks a lot of bullshit about football, and repeats it on a regular basis, and everyone says, geez, your man knows something about it. And if you get good at cutting people some of the time, you can get away with it for a lot of the time. So today I hope I can get away with it. Just wanted to tell you a story. And there's some message in it. One day we were away with a tournament, an under-19 international tournament in Norway, and there was 8 teams staying in the hotel, and one of the teams was England. I wasn't going to name them, but seeing as I felt safe here today, that Prince Charles is here, and in celebration of Prince Charles being in Galway today and meeting Jerry Adams, I said I'd tell this story. So is that okay? I'll tell you this. So the English team had 18 players in the squad, and there's about 40 staff. But in the 18 players, there was 8 black players and there was 10 white players, right? And at the meals, I noticed that they had 3 tables at the meals. And this is serious. There was the 10 white players sat together and the 8 black players sat together. Now, in the rest of the room, there was 7 teams. The Irish team had 2 black players, one lad called Ian Simpemba, who was obviously from Ballyfermot, and Stephen Kelly, who was from Fairview, right? And there was only one other, I'd say, non-white player in the whole room. There was a player playing for Norway. But I thought it was very interesting in the seating arrangement. I know some of you are looking at me very puzzled, saying, where's this going? So I'll tell you where it's going. You're right to be puzzled. I'm looking at it saying there's something wrong here. Now, we're at a conference about integration. I'll just leave that at the side. So the 10 lads are together, the 8 lads together, and the 40 staff of the English FA are all sitting together. And I'm saying to myself, did no one not notice that this is a little bit odd and something needs to be done here? So I have my own gang, who are a great crowd, and the cuteness of us was that I used to have one table at the dinner, and it was a circular table, and the Norwegian hotelier wasn't very happy when I insisted on having a table that was big enough for 18 players to sit around, but ensured that we had no divisions. Anyone who didn't like anyone had to sit at the same table, and whether they liked them or not, or they didn't like them, or didn't like the look of them, or didn't like how they played, or whatever it was. So they all sat together. So interestingly, the following day we're out training, and I had a little training session going which involved pairing off. All right? So you picked one of your mates, and it was it'd be a simple enough shooting session which involved one player playing it up to the other player. He played it off, and the man came in and had a shot at the goal. Got the picture? Even if you're not interested in football, you understand. Two blokes together, one plays the ball, the other is sit back, and he has a shot. So I'm there and I'm calling it out and I'm giving it all that. And we're like, come on, keep it moving, Stephen, let it go. And then I noticed the two non-freckledy Irish red-haired players who happen to be slightly black are together as a pair. Right? The one pair that out of 18 in the team, this pair magic. So I'm keeping it going. And then the two boys come up to me and I looked at it and I couldn't resist it. I said, what's going on here? The pair of you pairing off. And like a lie, Ian Simpemba, who was a lovely fella, his ma was actually from the back of the shopping centre in Phibsborough, and he was born in England. It'd be just a lie. He said, like a lie, he said, and I tell you, boss, we want our own table for dinner from now on. And I collapsed laughing, and I looked at them and said, here, give it up, you pair. And it was a very natural thing. It just happened as the session went on and the mix and match. And the moral of the story is, you've got to do something about it if you don't like it, if you're not happy about it. And my instant reaction about this conference is that someone is doing something about it. We can talk about migration, emigration, integration, and the issues are, we can do things. There's a great mate of mine, Liam Moggan, always talks about the how when we talk about coaching, about winning games, about practicing coaching, about improving teams, about taking photographs, about doing anything, about speaking, about whatever. He always talks about the how and how does it happen. And I think that was an instance of the how and the how not. And the how not was to have two tables and let them get away with it instead of saying, here lads, come on out with that. Whether it was natural or unnatural, and I heard David using the phrase informal, it doesn't matter, it shouldn't happen. So I have to give praise to the Fingal County Council and the initiative of Paul and Eugene and all the staff and Mags, the mayor, for having the initiative to say, hey, we're going to do something. We're going to pull people together. We're going to look at some of the issues and we're going to discuss them and hear about them, because maybe we don't hear about them. Maybe not enough people in Ireland hear about the issues for people from the outside. And when that came from the outside, and not long ago, I was at a conference. You might have seen Chinadu hanging around earlier from, he's a fellow board member in Saturday. He drives the Metro newspaper, and he organised a conference on integration recently up in St Patrick's College. And there was a lot of interesting things that day. But one of them, Professor Brian Lucy from Trinity College, spoke about issues around migration and integration. And he said one thing that really clicked with me, that the truth of it is, whatever resistance there may be in Ireland to migrants, we are all migrants. That if you look back through everyone's background, there was none of us here in the beginning. Unless you go back to, he suggested it was somewhere in Kenya a few thousand years ago, that it all started there. You from Kenya, am I right? If I'm right, tell me. But he suggested that it all started in Kenya, and that, whatever was in the Bible, I don't know, it wasn't supposed to start in Kenya, it was supposed to be in Israel, but anyway, he said in Kenya. But whatever happened, and it was a lot of sunny days, and some people changed from white to black, and whatever happened, but he suggested it happened in Kenya. And I started thinking about it. I was sitting in the room and saying, here's me, everyone thinks I'm from Dublin, and I'm not really, I'm from Belfast. Me ma and dad from Belfast. And where did his gang come from? I think they came from Scotland. They were part of Cromwell's crowd, the plantation of Ulster, right? And if you go back through the Dickie and through most Irish people, you'll find that, and who were the people that were the biggest migrants of all? Our gang. Where are we going? Everywhere. We're looking at the scenes at the moment on the television, the scenes from Southeast Asia and from the Mediterranean at the moment, and the boats. And as he said that day, it's only 2 generations ago since that was our crowd trying to get to America, trying to escape from all around every port in Ireland. Only 2 generations back, we were the ones trying to break into America and Canada and anywhere that would let us in off the boats, and Australia, whether it was on the slave ships or wherever it was. We were the first. We were in there. And we were grappling for the things that David talked about, for somewhere to stay, for somewhere to live, for someone to give us a chance. So how dare we be the ones to say there's no room for anyone else? Just because a lot of our gang have taken up and gone over the last few years because we had a recession. Big bloody deal, we had a recession. Isn't it great that our kids had the education? They had the education and they had the resources to be able to say, I'll go and I'll extend my life's interest and go and have the opportunity to go somewhere else and be taken in there and give it a go and find that experience. But I say, how dare we reject anyone else and say, we don't have room for you. We don't have room for you. I once flew in a helicopter. Was anyone here ever in a helicopter? No. Don't do it. Frighten the bleeding life out of you. I wasn't a happy man. I was going down to a conference in Limerick. You must think I spent all day talking at conferences. That's the 3rd time I've mentioned a conference. I haven't been at a conference in years until I was up in that one in Patrick's Training College. But anyway, I went on a helicopter down to Limerick. And you know what startled me? There was no one in the country. There was only space. There was green fields and cows, and there was a few scatterings of houses. Once you went past here, once you went past Fingal County Council, South Dublin County Council, and just out past Naas, there was nothing, only grass and houses and a few cows and the odd car going on the road. I said, did everyone leave the country? This is Sunday morning. So there's loads of space. There's lots of houses in Ragor around the country, as David referred to earlier, Fingal. There's lots and lots of space for people to make a go of it. If we give them a little bit of a chance, we give them a little bit of space. I know there's a lot of opposition, a lot of people, and land in Ireland is a big deal, and the field is running again, and where is it at the moment? It's in the Abbey or the Gaiety or wherever it is. Where is it? The Gaiety at the moment. It changes from year to year. I've seen it so many times. I'd nearly recite the Bull McCabe speeches to you. It was a great play anyway. You all should go if you nothing else to do. Anyway, so Mag, so just looking at the little things. Mag said, the challenge for the new communities to fit in to the host society. So she's saying the challenge is that's fair enough. The challenge is to try and fit in into our society while maintaining our own culture and traditions. Is that right? Am I quoting you right? That was on your page. Don't tell me you didn't write it. Here, I'm after catching the Lord Mayor S out. You're in trouble. But that's what it said. I agree with that. So it's not just about us. It's not just about us doing it. It's about everyone doing it. And it's about giving it a go. You can't sit back and say, oh, well, they don't do it our way, so I'm not getting involved in it. There has to be a compromise here. There has to be a bit of graft and a bit of effort. There has to be a bit of concession in terms of culture and in the general way of doing things, of knowing the rules and regulations. We're kind of good at bending rules and regulations. But you've got to force the bending of the regulations to suit people. And in Ireland, I mean, I think the area, how we're going to get integration and assimilation, we can have the natural thing that happens or the informal that David referred to. We can have the informal through schools, with the kids going to school and they don't care. Like, I'll go back and I told this story the last day I was at the other one about going to school. I went to school, I don't know why it was. I did go to school, believe it or not. But I went to school. When I went to school, there was one non-Irish, white, freckly, red-haired fella in my class in school. He was a half-black fella called Michael Senior. And for some reason, I went to sit beside him in school on day one, age 6 or 7, right? And I was a happy boy. I thought I got the prize in the class. Now, I don't know why that was. It must have been something in the build-up of my parents, in the messages that were given out from my house. When my dad was actually a boxing coach in Trinity College, and there was messages came in that. I could wake up in the morning, there could be someone from anywhere in the world sleeping on the floor beside me in the bedroom between me and my brother, right? No big deal. There could be anyone sleeping on the floor and the couch downstairs from anywhere in the world. Not necessarily an African person, a European person. It could be a bloke from Guernsey or Jersey or wherever it was. But there was not the messages that come out. So the responsibility of parents is to give the messages. To give the messages, they may not have to be beaten in with a stick, but they can be gentle message that people say, oh, that's all right. And I found that funny. I found that mixture of people funny. I found them intimidating, their accents intimidating. But I found them nice. I wanted to be part of that mixture. I wanted that diversity. I wanted that funny laugh. I wanted to hear more of that. So I was in from the start, in school. So then I'm coaching, and I'm looking for... You know what they say in coaching? I did another, just to let you know, I did another talk last week. It was on something completely different. It was, what was it about? It was winning in a competitive field. It was a businessy thing. I was a load of old crap. Compared to this now, it was different. But what the message I was given was, winners do it differently. Managers do it differently. But the winners usually do it a bit differently. Coaches do it differently. Right? So I was looking for that little bit of difference from when I was a young coach. And I was looking for the fella in the area. I lived in Drimnagh, and I coached a team in Crumlin. And it wasn't a great diverse mix in Crumlin at that time. But I was able to spot the odd young fella that had a bit of something. And there was a little fella called Willie Norton. And I saw he played against us for the CAE Ranch, they were called at the time. And I spotted him. I said, I'm having him. And I got him. And he played for me in Crumlin. And he made a difference. And the people loved him. Supporters saw that spring in the step, the agility he had, the technical skills weren't that perfect, but the people thought they were because he had speed and pace. I liked that diversity. I wanted to have a bit of that. So in school, I spotted something. School children, they don't see it. They don't see the mixture. But schools, Irish schools, Carl O'Brien spoke at that conference, and he said a very interesting one. Carl O'Brien writes lovely articles in the Irish Times. I write in the Irish Times now again, but most people wrap it up and use it for the board cage. Anyway, and they're right too to do that. You know, they use it at the bottom of the board cage. The stuff I write, it's about football. But anyway, 80% of primary school kids in Ireland go to 23% of the schools. Think of that one. 80%, I'll say it again, for the slow learners, that's like me. 80% of school children in Ireland from an ethnic background, a different non-Irish background, go to 23% of the schools. So what you're saying there is 4 out of 5 non-Irish kids are going to 1/5 of the schools. So we give you a demonstration of that. 3 of my own gang, believe it or not, are school teachers, right? 3 of my own kids. How they got there, I don't know. Their ma was a good influence, right? But one of them last week, I went to present awards in the school. And I said, this would be interesting. So I went, and on the night, it was sports awards, and it was a lovely night, and it was a lovely school. And I'd say over the night, there was 100 kids got awards. There was the Gaelic team, the soccer team. I'll tell you what sort of school there is. They were giving out, well, you like this, Ken. They were giving out awards for badminton, golf, and chess. Now, Jesus, my school, we had no badminton, golf, or chess in my school, I can tell you that. Chess. Anyway, they had, so it was a different. But out of the 100, I reckon, off the top of my head, because if you say there was about 30 on the GA team, can everyone understand me, or do I need an interpreter? No. He's with me. We're all right, yeah. We're grand. I'll talk slower. Okay, lovely hurling. Even the girls agreed. So there was the Gaelic team. There was about 30. There was 20 of the soccer. So and all that. So I'd say over the night there was 100. And I'm kind of keeping an owl eye out. There was one young lad, and when they said his name, I said that doesn't sound like a local. And they made a point of saying that he was from Spain, and he was on the GA team. There was one other young fella in the whole night, and his name, I'd say, was a Polish name. It was something like Prozinecki or Wojciech or something like that. And I said, that's a Polish one. And that was the whole thing. Talk about diversity in the school. There wasn't any. Now, I won't name the school, but it was St. Benilde's in Stillorgan. But, sorry, it was a slip of the tongue. The point I'm making is, and I said to my daughter, what's the policy in the school? Is there a policy? He said, He said, it's not about policy. He said, the school is fine. It's not about who we take in. It's about where the school is. It's about where the people live. It's about what they can afford. And that's what it's about. And you know, until that changes, that school is not going to change, because obviously the kids are getting a very good education and the numbers going to third level is probably up around the 90% mark and so on. But yeah, I have another daughter in another school, which shall be nameless, and I won't name it. And she tells me in that school, the best kids in her classes are the kids who are from families who weren't originally from Ireland, because they're the most determined, their parents are the most pushy, and they want it to happen. But she also says they have a problem when it comes to sport, that the parents don't want them to do sport. Now, I'm coming from sport, and I'm going to be losing my head with you as if that's the carry-on you're going on with. Because all surveys say, all scientific surveys say, that those who achieve academically achieve at sport also. High achievers in sport are high achievers academically. You might wonder about it as it gets towards leaving cert, and you say, oh, you can't be going training twice a week or 3 times a week for that team. You have to stay in, you have to get more points and you're leaving. How did they do it? I was one of them myself. How did I do it? I don't know, but I managed it. I did play. I was playing Gaelic for the school. I was playing soccer for Shelbourne. I was running for the school. I was up to a few other mischievous things at a 16, 17-year-old. I did me leaving cert. I did me mother. My mother went mad because she went to the parents' teacher meeting, and the Irish teacher did us nuts. She came home. She said, talking to Mr. Froon, he wasn't happy with you. I said, why is that? He said, you won't go in for the Saturday morning for the honours Irish, for the extra classes on a Saturday morning. I said, yeah, he's right, I won't. She said, would you not? I said, no, sure, I'm managing my team on a Saturday morning. How could I go into my team plays on? I was managing an under-13 soccer team at the time, which was the most important thing to me in the world. We won that match on a Saturday. I was on there for a week. I could go through my Irish composition, my English composition, and even my bit of bleeding Latin. We used to do Latin in school. Can you believe that? Latin. Anyway, but I used to go through that if it was going well for me. So there's the message. So that compromise may have to come from within the communities in relation to saying, yeah, okay, I like education, teachers are great, and I want my kids to do well. But you've also got to say, I go to Croke Park now and again. I was at a conference in Croke Park. Now, this was 4 years ago. And I was looking out the window and there was matches on with kids playing. And I loved it. And the kids, the mixture of the kids and the matches. And you knew by the body shapes, not just the colours, that it was a diverse group playing the matches. And it was brilliant. It was camogie. And I said, yes, I'll have a bit of that. We're going to find players out of this for the Irish teams of the future, for the Dubs of the future, for whatever, even Kildare, or even Meath, or whatever. Yeah, you know, we're going to find players. But that can't go on, and then when a kid gets to 14 or 15, the parents then say, oh, you're not having that anymore. And then your integration goes out the window, because they don't get into the sports club when they're 17, 18, 19, 20, they're finished, they're gone. Now, they might be going to third level college. We were in St. Patrick's Training College. We're doing a conference on diversity. St. Patrick's Training College, for those that don't know, is the teacher training college, probably the main centre of teacher training in Ireland. How many diverse or multicultural or other cultural faces did I see that morning in, what month was it? Is it 2 weeks ago now? April it was. Was it April? 3 weeks ago. It was exam time. Now they're all sitting outside writing notes and lovely sunny morning. All that. Not one. Patrick's Training College. And the president of the college gave a speech at the opening of the conference. you know, I felt like jumping up and saying, yeah, but hold on, what's the admission policy? And I saw in the little booklet about Blanchardstown IT, and they have been a very progressive college. I was up there about 10 years ago and gave them stick over their policy. Now I'm only making that up. But I know that they make compromises. But you have got to force the compromises. You have got to force, where it says you have to have the Irish language to be a guard, or be a teacher, or be a lawyer, or it's got to come from you. It's not just going, we'll sit back and say, oh, I've 3 of my gang teach Irish and have degrees in Irish and all that. So what? Big deal. But I wouldn't like the fact that anyone hasn't got Irish to block them getting on in our society. Is that okay? But sometimes it's not good enough to sit back. Use our strong groups. I see the multiplicity of groups that are here today and represented who are fighting various little causes for you. And take up those causes. Don't sit back. Challenge the people. And in fairness to Fingal County Council, they're prepared to listen. And that's the great process that's happening today, to be opening to listen. There might be a little bit in that. There might not be anything in it at all. So the issues are around education, schools, employment, probably well covered today, and sport. So we can have natural and informal integration. Happens through schools, happens through societies, meeting people in the street and so on. Good news, I won't be going on too much longer because I know it's all getting to you now, right? Hang in with me. Or it can happen informally. But what we need to have in Ireland is forced planning, forced things to happen, organised things to happen, like this. Someone that has a real concern about it. And obviously Fingal County Council have, because you've got the biggest population in many ways, the biggest percentage population. So you're concerned to do something. Things are happening in Ireland. Just by chance, some things are working out. Things are going on, but they mightn't always continue like that unless there's government policy, unless our politicians, unless our planners decide to make things happen. But you can be part of that, and the various groups can push things to happen, can push for change, can push for the sort of social policies that are going to make a difference in education, the style of education, whether they're religious schools, non-religious schools, multi-religious schools, whatever, the type of housing that's available to people, all the things that prevent you making progress within the society, within Irish society. So I just want to go to sport, because I came to talk about sport, I forgot about it. So I go to sport in Ireland and the impact on non-Irish born people on Irish sport. And I was thinking about this one. The last few medals we've won in the Olympic Games been won by Michael Conlon, Donald Licht, boxing, Paddy Barnes, John Joe Nevin, Darren Sutherland, and back even a bit further was a fellow called Francie Barrett. There was a film about him. And he carried the flag in the Olympics in maybe 96. And there was a lot of disputes. Now, all those people I've named for you, the late Darren Sutherland, I should say, in their own way, were all from an ethnic minority of some description or other. Isn't that amazing? And where they celebrated, they were for a short time. And then life moves on, and then we get critical again. And then we say, the Traveller Society, they do too much, there's too much fighting, there's too much this, there's too much that. But do we make heroes? Do we make role models? Do we put them up in a frame, the people that can be the role models for the next group of them? I've always had like a bit of diversity in my teams. But do we talk about it or do we do it? I've always picked black players if I could find them, if they were better, or nearly better than what I had. I just liked that extra little bit of flashiness they gave me. But staff-wise, and this is just an example, I work in the media, fortunate enough to get a few gigs here and there. How many non-Irish born people get to work in the media, get to talk about football, Gaelic football, soccer, anything? Have you seen any? I don't see any. I don't see anyone else You know, same old gang, likes of me, on all the time, right? How many newsreaders? One weather girl, I think on the radio there's a bloke who reads the weather with a German accent, and he doesn't mess him. It's always raining, no matter what he's... Every day I hear him, I say it's going to be raining. But more seriously, so people who can influence the media, can they take up the responsibility and say, we can do something about that? If we're going to be representative of the society we live in, why shouldn't there be someone from Poland reading the news? Someone from Latvia on talking about football. They know more about it, I know about it. Why not? But these things aren't happening. We have got to change. But so one of the things I did, for instance, I'll give you one. One of the best fellas ever played for Ireland was a fella called Chris Houghton. He was the first black player to play for Ireland, little Chrissy. Typical Irish international, black face, curly hair, English accent, right? In Jack Charlton's era, should have been the captain, right? His mum was from Limerick. One of the greatest Irish people of all time. Great taker-up of causes on behalf of immigrant groups, racism, discrimination, labour rights, everything. At the moment, he just happens to be the manager of Brighton. But I brought him in as my assistant with Ireland, not because of those characteristics, because he was the best coach I could possibly get, who also represented a bit of diversity, because we had other black players in the team. We had Clinton Morrison, who I was delighted to see on Sky on Sunday, sitting back gorgeously in the back. Clinton, his grandparents, one of his grandparents was from the Knoll in County Dublin. Now, Clinton is the funniest character there, but he's there, he's getting a gig on Sky and looked the part and so on. The other one was Stephen Reid, who retired yesterday from international football. But the team was diverse, so the staff should have been diverse. I had a South African masseur. I took him on because not only was he a brilliant masseur, he was also an alcohol counsellor. And that was very handy with the team I had, because I had about 7 drunks on the team. There's as many drunken nights, was there 7 drunken nights? I'd have had a player for every one of them drunken nights in my team. But that's another day's work. But I think we've got to do things rather than talk about doing things. Is that all right? So, and then I go on, and it heartened me last week to see the underage international team playing against England. And 2 of the players that started, and I might even get the pronunciation wrong, was Marcus Agui Taboy and Zachary Elzaoudi. Played against England last week for Ireland in an under-17 qualification match in Bulgaria, in the starting team. And I'm saying, I'll have a bit of that. Now, them fellas, the granddads weren't from Lucan or Blanchardstown or anywhere. I'm looking at them in the match saying, yeah, better, different, giving us a bit of something. And please God, there's going to be loads more of it. But it's a 2-pronged approach. It's not like, no, he's not going out today because it's raining. Or, it's a holy day in Nigeria. Or we don't play football on Sunday mornings in Poland. I'm hitting the wrong nerve here, am I? When I worked in the Faroes, this is the truth of God, in the Faroe Islands, right? Quick story on the Faroe Islands. People used to forget where I was working, And me fellas in the pub, they say, how's it going, Brian? You're doing a great job in San Marino, right? So one night, a fella, he wasn't that drunk, but these are my 3 best ones. He said, Brian, how's it going in the Ivory Coast? Now, you couldn't get more extreme. The Faroes is up between Norway and Iceland, right? It's as white as you can get. It's rocky, it's mountainous, in the middle of the Atlantic. And he had me in West Africa, Ivory Coast. The next one was a simple enough one, where a fella said, how's it going for you in Egypt? Right? But my all-time favourite was one day a bloke said, are you going back to the Falklands, Brian? The Falkland Islands, like Faroe Islands, Falkland, I suppose. But jeez, I said, no, I don't have me vest for the war. There was a war between England and Britain, and for a few years ago, maybe. Anyway, but so I when I was in the Faroes, we couldn't have training on a Sunday morning for the national team because what was the main church? Lutheran church was the main thing up there. And Sunday morning, and seriously, the secretary said, I gave him the programme. We're playing on Thursday night, training Friday, training Saturday morning, next match Tuesday night, Sunday morning, training at 11 in Tofter. And he said, Brian, I said, what? He said, you can't, not until after 1. I said, well, will you all right to start at 12:30? He said, you can meet at 12:30 and they won't know. I said, they can meet at 10 o'clock and they wouldn't know. So anyway, we trained at 11:30 on the Sunday morning. I blessed all the lads and away we went, right? But I'm just saying, those type of restrictions may be already in place and we have to fight. There's one coming up on Friday, we can all fight about that one as well. But I'm thinking of the impact of people, diverse groups. We've had Sanita Puspure rowed for Ireland, Latvian girl, rowed for Ireland in the Olympics. But are we holding banners up about that? We should be. Someone should be. Someone should be celebrating that brilliance that she brought. We don't have it. We had a culture of rowing. We had a fella called Sean Dre years ago, finished 4th in the Olympics. Wouldn't be great. Down the Liffey there, fellas in my school used to row. We didn't have chess and badminton, but we had a few rowers in Jambo. I went to James Street down the middle of Guinness's. That's where I got the drunken players from. But Noah Baba then is captain of the under-19 international team. He's at Fulham. So there's an impact now being made. Sean O'Halbean, brilliant player from Cork, different group altogether. Simon Zebo, brilliant international rugby player, different background. And these are the people that we need to celebrate against the bigots, against the people who have negative things to say, against the people who might say things that hurt you in your heart and might affect me a little and say, jeez, that's not right. That's not right. We need to fight against, we need to stand up against it. And the sports organisations have an obligation, and sports departments in every council have an obligation to ensure that the policies are there, anti-discrimination, anti-bigotry, anti-racism, and they are implemented strongly. And there's no messing. Because, look, we've a referendum on something on Friday, and for some people in this room, it's a very important referendum. For me, it's important enough. I have an interest in it, and I have people I know, and I want it to go well for them. But I tell you what, I don't think it's the biggest issue as the issue of racism in Ireland and the potential for a long-term racism issue in Ireland, because that is bubbling under. And unless we deal with the integration issue in Ireland in a very organised and structured way, and then, so the celebration has to come. Now, that might be off the mark for what some people. My favourite player, Paul McGrath, Black Dubliner, St Patrick's Athletic. If he went for president, I said this before, he could win the presidential election in Ireland, because he's just a beautiful person that everyone in Ireland loved him for the way he played football, for his style, for his humility in interview. And yet Paul is one of the most troubled people in Ireland in terms of the crosses he bears, probably coming from where he came from initially, the difficulties his mother had. Right? Now, was he not the example? Again, and people that want to have a go, we need these heroes, we need them to be hung up there as heroes, and people should have the opportunity of saying, how can we have this? How can we be discriminating against people? These are the same. These are going to lend something very positive to our society. Another little quote, Mags, on yours. The impact of the influx has been largely very positive, with new business ideas, cultural richness and languages now enjoyed and embraced throughout the county. That's lovely. If it was embraced around the county, around the country, if they were embraced, not embraced by everyone, but I think that richness is beautiful. I think that diversity is beautiful. I think it should be celebrated. I think it was mentioned earlier, we should celebrate diversity. I think overall migration is a good thing, but for it, I wouldn't be around here today. But for the old Scottish part of our family that went to Belfast initially and ended up throwing me down here, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. Whether I've lent any value to the society, is, another matter. So I'm gonna finish by thinking. I was trying to think today of a role model from a non-Irish person currently in the media that people could say, he's doing great and I'd like to get there. I know there's people in the radio, but Konstantin Gurdjieff, do you know him? He's a financial fella. He'd be often on Vincent Brown late at night. He might be on some RTE programmes in prime time talking about economics and where we stand and where the country's GNP. And I often think he's a brilliant fella. I think he's from a Russian background. But I think he's the only one that I can say off the top of my head from a non-Irish white background who appears regularly in the media, who represents someone from a different background in a very strong, knowledgeable, obviously brilliantly educated. There's not enough of it, and we need to celebrate them. Finishing, thanks for asking me. As you heard earlier, it's a bit of a struggle for me to get a gig. I don't mind being a sub. If you didn't like it, don't tell anyone, because I mightn't get another gig for years. If you did like it, tell someone else, and you never know where you'd see me. Thanks for listening, and well done to Fingal County Council.